Today, on behalf of All India Council Human Rights, Liberties and Social Justice, National Council for News and Broadcasting, Safeguarding Children Seva Samiti Uttar Pradesh, India, Kaushambi Foundation Uttar Pradesh, India, International Human Rights Commission, Voices on the Mount, Ghana, Africa, I welcome our guest speaker today, Johnk, Wright, all the way from USA. Thank you so much for joining today. So he would
Thank you,
be
Kaushaki.
speaking, yeah, and he would be speaking on the topic on the maths, introductory talk on the math. So tell us something about like what's your journey been as a maths teacher, John?
Oh, wow. How much time do you have? I know we only have 30 minutes. I'll tell you what, I have always loved math. When I was a student in high school, elementary school, to me, math it's just how my brain worked. No, I'm not a genius. I didn't score a Mensa, but I enjoyed math.
Okay,
Math was always like solving logic problems, solving puzzles. And I just kind of interpreted it that way. So if there was a problem in a math class or what have you, that's how I kind of looked at it. I mean, that's how my brain worked. Um,
mm-hmm.
so in the United States, I had to take the ACT test when I was a junior. I had no idea what I wanted to do in life, I had no idea. But the highest score I got on that happened to be mathematics. And at that time, they used to have like a little quadrant, and so you plot
Okay,
your scores. And then mine ended up in the top right-hand corner, and it said mathematics. Now, this was way back, and I hate to date myself, but this is back in the 1970s. So in the 1970s, if you were to major in mathematics, you basically had two options. You were either going to become a mathematics teacher or a professor, or maybe you were going to work in like in the insurance industry as an actuary. And computer
okay,
science was just kind of starting out like that. So I went to college, I went to university, and I majored in mathematics and I minored in computer science because that's what I enjoyed. And my journey, that basically opened up the door for me when I got a chance to go into Army Reserve Officer Training Corps in the United States. That's the trained future officers in our military. I went through that and I got selected to be in one of the branches called engineering, the Corps of Engineers, and which is very strict on mathematics and science. So
okay.
I did that for, I don't know, 15 and a half years to
Wow,
do
that's
that.
great. Mm-hmm.
And thank you, thank you. And for what helped me is I never had an engineering class. And so when I had to go to my engineer officer, like the basic course and the advanced course, and take those introductory type level classes on different types of engineering subjects, I'm competing against other officers who've had engineer degrees. Some went to West Point. And so the only thing I can really relate to is the mathematics part. And so that kind of really helped me. And then in my engineer career, I've had different assignments from like construction engineering to topography, construction. So it kind of gave me that background. And I was able to get a master's degree from Boston University in computer information
Wow.
systems. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
when you start talking about STEM type classes and careers, the
Mm-hmm.
science part, the technology, the engineering, mathematics, and then in some places in the United States, we actually have STEAM. You add the A for arts. And so for me, that was always important. So my journey really became just the natural. I just loved the mathematics. And then when my daughter, I'm trying not to go on a tangent, but this is how I got into teaching. So when my daughter was in
Okay.
high school,
Mm-hmm.
she had to learn how to, she had a test in geometry, and she's
Okay.
crying on the couch. She's in 10th grade, and she just hated it. So she would have something like, "What's slope?" And and
Mm-hmm.
I and I said, "Okay, Laura, what's slope?" And then she
Mm-hmm.
would say something like this: "Well, the teacher says it's." I
Okay.
can't see it.
Yeah.
She said, I
Yeah.
don't know if you could see it. Yeah, rise over run.
Okay.
And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so what does that mean? And she says, I don't know. The teacher just says rise over run. And so I had to go into the details and say, look, rise is nothing more like if you put your hand out and you watch the sun come up in the morning, what's happening? Or if you put yeast with water and it forms CO2, carbon dioxide,
Exactly.
it forms bread,
Right.
it rises, okay? So all rises is just the change in what we call the vertical, like an elevator. You're
Okay.
going up, you're going down. And I said run is a term that we use as just basically, you think about on a flat surface, a horizontal, and you're going to the
Wow.
right,
Right.
to the left. And so that's all
True.
slope is. So in a
Mm-hmm.
matter of a few minutes, she got the concept. And then she said, Dad, you ought to be my math teacher. This is before I became a math teacher.
That's
And
cool.
so,
That's cool. Yeah.
so, and you know, one time she was in second grade and we had my wife and I, my wife and I had to go visit her teacher during lunch. They had one of these introduction things where parents can come. And I was just talking to her because I was an engineer. I was a major at this time and talking. And she says, you know, I have a problem with, I don't know how to teach my students probability and things like statistics. And these are second graders. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, no big deal. I mean, I said, just get some M&Ms and have them count the different colors and have them do the
Okay.
calculations and then have them calculate what's probability of yellow. Oh, that's something out of 100 or something out of whatever. And then the teacher's eyes got real big. She said, can you come in for lunch and do that? So I did. And
Okay.
my daughter still remembers that. And I've done that over the years too in my classes for statistics and even some of my lower level math classes. I'm like, okay, guys, here's some. Now, this is before COVID. So, but, you give candies out and you let them count the little colors. And then I put it on like a big board and have them do the calculations. But students are learning hands-on and they're trying to get that connection. Like, what is probability? It's something out of 100. So
So,
anyway,
so
that's
do
kind of my
you
journey.
so do you believe that making maths like an art would be more understandable? Like students would be learning it with a
Yes,
fun,
yes.
or
Now,
okay,
I totally agree with that, Kaushaki. Did I say it correctly? Kaushaki.
yes,
No, because
Kaushaki.
Kaushaki. Okay. Here's an idea. I'm teaching geometry this year, and I'm trying to show my students. A lot of students don't like geometry because it's more spatial. They're used to like, just give me the equation. 2x plus something equals something. I'll solve for x. Just very simple. But geometry is a little different because there's a lot more high order thinking. And so,
True.
here's an example. If I ask somebody, like, what is 1 divided by a fourth? And I don't know something like that.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a very visual. And so instead of having to do this part here without that and say, oh, how do I divide fractions? Oh, that's so
Exactly. Right.
hard. Then I say,
Yeah.
no, draw pictures. So what does that visual mean? Okay, it just
Okay.
means you have a
Wow.
whole and I want to divide it by just a fourth. Well,
You're just taking out the
how
part,
many of
right?
these parts? Yes. And I think for a young student, you can make math, I don't know, I hate to say it, but I try to make it kind of math is fun or maybe not so scary,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's just a very useful topic. You can incorporate math. There's
Okay.
branches of mathematics like tessellations with a famous Dutch illustrator named MC Escher. I mean, he used a lot of objects and hexagons and shapes like that tessellated, which are
Okay.
like interlocking pieces. I don't know if you've seen any of his illustrations, but he's wonderful. But
So,
yes,
it's
sorry.
all about the teacher. No, that's okay. So it's all about the teacher, like making maths fun, right? So being a teacher, like how you structure the math curriculum, like in the school when you become a teacher, like what things you have seen to be framed to be more understandable by the students of the school, like not very hard and making it curriculum, the easy part, dividing the subject into, different parts so it could be
Mhm.
deliver. How you
Right.
deliver them? Yeah.
In the United States, I want to say every state typically has their own standard. And I live in Texas near Dallas, and so Texas has its own particular standards. So you can go to their actual website and find what are the standards that maybe a ninth grade student needs to know, or a 12th grader, or even someone in second grade. And there's all this information. And these are all goals for students to be introduced to for the whole year. Now, the problem that I see, if I could, be the math person to like change our education in the world, I think there's problems with that because I've worked with certain teachers at big schools, really big
Mm-hmm.
schools, like in our surrounding
Okay.
area. And the way it works there is they've had teams go through some of that curriculum and they will actually write the curriculum for the whole year. Now, the problem with that is, let's say let's say on a given day with 3 big high schools, I don't know, maybe there's 20 different teachers teaching Algebra 1
Wow.
on Monday, let's say February the 15th. Well,
Okay.
guess what? Following some of those big independent school districts, the teachers are kind of like almost forced to teach exactly what's on that written curriculum, which means they have to give the certain examples. They can't deviate from it. They have to say certain things. And I think that takes away a lot of our creativity from being different. I think my style is totally different than other people. And that's because of my journey as a math teacher. I mean, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
go in education years ago to become a math teacher. Actually, it's funny because when I was majoring in mathematics, I was working full time as a restaurant manager, and I was making like at that time $3,000 more per year than what an entry level math teacher was. So
Math
really
teacher
going through my
versus, yeah.
head, I'm like, well, why do I want to be a math teacher? I can make more money, you know. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that I'm working at an independent. Well, I guess you could say independent. We're a private nonprofit school, and so I have, I can teach the standards, but each teacher is so
Okay.
unique, and we have our own gifts. The way I might teach it might be different than the way you teach it, and then another
Right.
teacher. And I love that autonomy that we can actually do that at my particular school. And there are other schools that are like that too. That okay, this is the topic that kids need to know. I don't know, understanding
Okay.
quadratic equations, let's say. And maybe the way you teach it, it's up to the teacher. So I think in
True.
some districts, they're kind of forced that you have to teach it a certain way because there's so many students. And to make it equitable, that everybody's being taught something the same exact way on a same day, nobody has any unfair advantages. I worked with a
True.
science teacher years ago, and he got in trouble because he said, and for his particular grade that he was teaching, he brought in some stuff from home, and they did these experiments, and he talked to the kids, and he got sort of like
Wow.
reprimanded, got in trouble because he wasn't following the approved curriculum. And he's like, oh, but
Okay.
I'm making it fun. I'm doing hands-on and all
But
these other
but
kind
do
of
you
things.
but here do you believe
Yes.
that the personal choice of teaching, the personal way of teaching to deliver the best, there should be an open curriculum